Alrighty, looks like we are live. This is going to be Iskloft one shot Odinson. So it's nearing the end of winter. There's still patches of snow and frost on the ground, but it's cleared up mostly as it starts to transition from the cold reaches of the icy winters into a still cold, still somewhat icy, but less so spring. You all have been here for a little bit now, wintering in the halls of Jarl Hemming, a very generous and successful Jarl. He's been honored to have you as guests. He's kept you well fed. He's kept your equipment cared for. He's taken good care of you. Been giving of gifts, and happy to have you around in the halls. And it's mid-afternoon at this point in the halls and in the town. Mostly just a run-of-the-mill day so far. The people who are not warriors have been at work trying to keep things going. And Yarna, you are a hunter in this area, and you're on the way back to the town after a morning and an early afternoon out. What would we see? What would Yarna look like? What has she caught that she's brought back to the town for game later tonight? And what would she be doing?
Yeah, so Yarna would be carrying a big boar, dragging it. It's quite impressive because she doesn't look that strong, but anyway, she caught the boar. It was a good chase. Took her time. She always loved to be in the woods chasing some kind of animal. And she's not beautiful. She has a huge scar on her face. She's been disfigured, attacked many years ago. So many in the village would flee her or avoid contact with her. So she just usually brings back the meat, does stuff, necklaces and whatever she can, and is just happy if anyone is there to talk to her.
As you head back up into town towards the halls, you would see a man. You would know his name is Bori. He is the Jarl's champion, his honored warrior. It's been with this town for quite some time. You kind of look up. Quite a catch there you got. Make for a good dinner, huh?
Yes, always, you know me. What does
Now,
Bori look like?
so he's pretty tall and broad. Almost your typical warrior that you would imagine for the Southlands. So he's got kind of that air of comfort to him that maybe like a Gunlander or a Northman wouldn't have. But you would know that he's still strong and very capable. Say, you been catching up on any of the stories that strange man seems to be going through the South? What do you make of that?
Hmm. I mean, strange men. Yeah, they're all over the place. Maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. Maybe we'll find out, maybe we won't. All I know is that if they threaten us, they'll finish like this boar. And I'm quite sure that you'll help me if needed.
Of course. I'm sure it's all just stories, bravado. They always try to make it. Torhild, you're in the halls. You've been here for quite some time as well. The day's carrying on. You know that there won't be too long before the nightly meal is ready. What would we see from Torhild? What would she be doing while she's here in the hall?
Torhild would be sitting at a table with other warriors, laughing and drinking and partaking of the mead and the meat that's been so kindly offered to her by the Jarl. Currently, I believe they'd be, boasting, roasting, and toasting, just speaking these wild boasts. And everyone's laughing, everyone's smiling, and she's fit in very quickly here. She's smiling, and from time to time, she would reach down to her neck, reach around her neck, and hold a very old pendant of Thor, of the hammer Mjolnir. And as she does this every time, she kind of closes her eyes, remembering and thinking of her purpose and looking and smiling back and drinking with people. But her eyes would kind of be shifting around, watching everybody in turn, everyone else sitting at different tables, taking in the whole scene. She might be comfortable here, but that doesn't mean she's let her guard down.
And one of the other men who was at this table with you would turn to you, Torhild, and say, "Hey, Torhild, what was that? What was that story that you said the other night that you told me? I think it'd be good if everybody heard it. It was a pretty good one." He kind of like look at you like, "Huh?"
And she would look at him and smile and say, "Perhaps. But if you wish to hear the story again, what are you willing to do for it?"
Kind of look at you strangely. Uh, what do you want?
And he kind of like looks at her. She looks at him and just kind of just smiles. "It was a jest, friend." And then goes into the story. And I imagine it's some sort of like a mythical story, maybe Locasena or something that people are supposed to laugh at.
And God, I hope I say this right. Is it Niall?
Yes, sir.
Would Niall be participating in these festivities, or as a berserker, what would we see him doing during this time?
So he has like a lot of duties that are self-imposed. One of which is to ensure that he always has the correct supply of the various herbs and tinctures and teas that he needs for his profession. So he would be in the nearby woods, and there would be this raven that follows him from tree to tree. His best friend, this little raven that he had in his youth as an Iron Eye befriended, and that has been with him ever since. And it kind of would caw occasionally mockingly as he ham-fistedly cuts the wrong herb or ruins something as he tries to pick it up. His hands gnarled and calloused from his hard life, and it would laugh at him occasionally as he messes it up. But he'd go through the process of trying to acquire the necessary mushrooms and herbs and things like that.
Absolutely. As you're kind of going through this routine, imagine you would see kind of across, not too far, Yarna returning to the town, a large boar in tow. He stops for a moment to talk to Bori. Be up to you if you want to interact or go about your business.
I think the raven would fly from one branch to another and land near there, and as they're kind of talking, just begin squawking very loudly, incessantly, as they're trying to communicate. And then weirdly quietly, for a man of his stature like Niall would appear. "A good catch. We will eat well."
Thank you. Your bird is always so present. Does it talk for you? I think it
talks.
does.
More than I do.
Maybe wise.
And he'll like look over his shoulder, and then he'll do like a, and the raven will like fly down and land on his shoulder. I have work to do.
Be well.
And finally, Har. What would we see of Har? What would we know of him? What would he be doing right now on this day?
He's sitting at a bench, eating at stew in a trencher with a wooden spoon, while opposite him, his boy does the same, wolfing it down. He swallows his mouthful. Because, said Thor, when something goes wrong, the first thing I always think is, it is Loki's fault. It saves a lot of time. And then eats another swallow. And the boy seems to hardly be listening. Once he's scraped the trencher clean, he places it down, he smacks his lips and wipes them with his sleeve. And he hears either like the laughter or talk or like voice of Thorild. Nods to himself and then looks to the boy. You brought them? Hi, father. And he like pats skin wrapped around something long and thin on the table next to him. Good. Finish your meal quickly, and we'll go to the Shield Maiden. And once the boy does, he'll go over. The boy clasping in his scrawny arms this skin, covering something long and thin. And Har, like average height, balding with a paunch. A few hairs clung to the sides of his scalp and at the back, but at the front, just like a bald, like sunburned skin. Pale eyes, gnarled knuckles, near hairless there from the forges. And he'll wait with his arms at his side with it and seek the eye contact of Thorild.
She would, hearing this, kind of like she's finishing her story, and she would turn and look at him, and you'd see this perfect, like beautiful blonde hair, kind of like tied neatly into braids and held together in the back with a golden, what would have been a torque, but used instead for a hairband. And on her right eye, this scar kind of comes down, branching out like the limbs of a tree. Which, if you'd listened to her stories before she received them, she was very young when she was struck by lightning and survived. And so this scar, like she kind of looks up at you. And would she have ever spoken with you before?
I'd say not. He's probably like looking deferentially and like standing appropriately back, not weirdly close. You might have heard of him though, because he's smithed here for the last, I don't know, quarter of a year or more.
Yeah. And so she'd look at him. And how may I help you, good smith? I don't believe I know your name.
I am Har, Lady Thorhild, he says, and this is my son, Horst, if it please. And then he'll cuff his son on the shoulder to make him like stand forward.
And she would kind of smile at that and nod to both of them. It's a pleasure to meet you. How may I be of service?
Jarl Hemming, he says, is generous. He has made me forge a gift for thee. Well, boy. And he like nods down, and the boy will like move up and extend his arms out. And Har will like pull the skin aside, and you can see this long U shaft ending in like a leaf-tipped blade, a well-balanced throwing spear, and curved up the side of it two great bolts of lightning sent from clouds near the haft, and it's wrapped with doe skin about the haft, like in the middle, to be held and like studded there with small brownished rivulets.
Yeah, and she would stand seeing this beautiful, beautiful gift, and she would pick it up off the skin and look at it. This is quite the lovely gift. Thank you.
Your thanks should be for the Jarl, says Har. I was asked to forge it, and so I have. It is true, and will fly so.
And she nods and looks at you and says, "But the hands which create, those are to be respected as well."
Then thank you. These hands and they're wrought. I swore to Hemming, just as you have. Though winter's end will bring an end to my oath. I'm glad to have met you before I would leave here. May the spear serve you well.
And she nods, "And I you. And hopefully sometime along the path we shall meet again."
He nods, and he like turns and moves away, and then gives a, and then the boy will like scamper in with him.
And she would just be looking at this beautiful throwing spear. Compared to her other throwing spears, this is obviously much more superior craftsmanship than anything. And so she would reverently kind of add it to the ones that she already has, and make a mental note to thank the Jarl later if she can get a moment with him. And she would kind of watch your back as you left.
Niall and Yarna, so you guys are outside. Something would catch your eye. A man. You know that he's from this town as well. He frequently goes back and forth between here and another nearby place. But you would see him sprinting towards you. A look of panic is on his face. He's breathing heavily, like he's been running for a long time.
I think he's running pretty quickly, and he doesn't see the form of Niall like move out of the trees and like put out a hand and simply stop him. He like as if he runs into a wall, just slower.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, he slams into your hand. You easily stop him without an effort. You're so much bigger and stronger than he is that he couldn't resist even if he wanted to. And he doesn't seem to try. But he's just there was
Slowly, collect yourself.
there was a man I ran into. Kind of like stops to try to calm his breathing. It's clear that he's tired. That he's been running for quite some time. A group of men. Strange woman. The man, one of them, huge. He saw me heading back towards the town. Told me that he demands to speak with the Jarl. To negotiate. Or bring war.
Well, you've
Then
done
you
well in
speak to the
delivering the
Jarl.
message. Sorry.
Yes. No, he must speak to the Jarl. This might be, I turn to Bori, the one you were speaking about. These men, this legend.
As you say that, a look of surprise, and he would try to hide it, but it wouldn't be hard to see even the glint of panic on this man's eyes. Wait. You don't think that was him, was it? I've heard terrible things.
We should be glad. The All-Father loves war. He is glad of it. There will be glory in our future. This is a blessing.
Yeah, Yarna wouldn't, she wouldn't agree with that, but she wouldn't say anything. Maybe just pass her hand on her scar, because war means different things for her. She's lost all her family, and she's like, sure, as long as we live, but we must warn the, yeah, we have to talk to the Jarl right now.
Yes.
And there's this like weird smile on Niall's face. His like weirdly almost white eyes and his sharpened canines. This like weird smile of action. Finally, something. He's been wintering here. He doesn't want to wander in the winter, but he's kind of glad that something is happening, and you can tell by the way that he like smiles and the way that he like begins to like move his fingers sort of excitedly and fidget a little bit. Yes, we should go and tell the Jarl that there will be war.
Or not.
Or not.
And this man would just kind of, he's still catching his breath, but he's kind of somewhat stabilized himself. Okay, yeah, yes. Okay, and would go to make his way towards the hall. Bori would kind of give you, Yarna, kind of a strange smirk and then kind of a strange eye over towards Niall, but he wouldn't say anything to this berserker. And would follow this man. Would both of you be following behind?
Yeah,
Yes.
I pick up like the little bag I've filled with herbs and mushrooms and things like that, and sling it over my shoulder, and then another, and the raven would like Wah! And follow.
Torhild and Har, you would see the doors to the hall swing open. You would see Njal and Yarna, Bori, and then this smaller man, just one of the townspeople. He seems to be breathing heavily, as if he's just ran a lot. Be evident on his face the concern. And you would see kind of the strange smile on Niall's face and the concerned look of Yarna. And this man would... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say Torhild would immediately start to stand, kind of like immediately intrigued by what's going on here.
Har will see Horst's, I guess, excitement and like wondering and like seeing armed warriors goes about probably excites the boy. But his eyes turn slaty and he grinds a few brown teeth and like tries to like pull the boy away from the excitement. He feels whatever that is bad.
The man would kind of make his way around the table and towards the Jarl. You guys would see him kind of saying something quietly at first to the Jarl, whose face would kind of go from jovial and enjoying and just the excitement of the meal and all the stories to a kind of quizzical frown. And he would on the table and kind of wave a hand, trying to get everybody to quiet. It takes a little bit longer than he'd like, trying to calm the rowdiness of everybody. But eventually, the hall does fall quiet. He would stand up. This man brings an interesting story. The stories of this man in the south. The great Jarl Egil made a Karl. This man, some call Odinson. He's making his way here. Soon. He will arrive tomorrow night. Seems he intends to negotiate with the possibility of war. He would kind of motion for his warriors to come nearby. And any of the other people who would be willing to come as well. For any of those here that are not under my leadership, I'd like to offer you potentially further gifts if you're willing to assist in these proceedings. It seems tomorrow night we will meet to discuss his terms. Who knows how soon afterwards battle may commence, if it comes to that, depending on what this man is after, what he demands, and what we're willing to give up, if anything. He would kind of motion to the lot of you that have been wintering here. If it pleases you, I'd be eager to hear your advice, your thoughts as well on the matter. He would kind of sit down, leaving most of the lesser folk, if you would want to call them that, the kind of confused and confusion and a little bit of worry. People start like whispering to each other, whispers of battle. You know, is it going to be safe? What's going to happen? But the Jarl doesn't seem to mind it quite yet. It seems he wants to try to find a strategy first, and he would wait to see who approaches.
I do not swear oaths to men, only to Odin. You have been kind and just and generous as I've dwelt here over the winter. And if you need my help, I'll give it. But I will say that if war is coming, it is because the All-Father wills it. He is glad of war, one of his many names. And I'll not discourage that notion.
If the All-Father wishes it to be, that's what it shall be. Either way, I will be honored to have a service from such a man as yourself, whether that be in battle or else.
Upon hearing this, Torhild would step forward. Mighty Jarl, you have been kind to me, allowing me to winter here. You have provided mead and meat, and given to me freely of all that you have, and provided lordly gifts. And she kind of pulls that throwing spear out and sets it on the ground, kind of like slamming it down, will serve and aid you in this. I am a Gunlander. We are proud people, and we do not forget kindnesses that are offered to us. And she would take the tip of the spear and cut lightly across her hand, dripping blood onto the ground. I shall stand by you in this, and promise you my skills with my blade, and will die if it so be needful of me.
Thank you. Your services will be of much use. And you will see that for help in this matter, that you will receive whatever I have that I can offer to you as a gift for doing so.
The glory of fighting alongside you will be gift enough, Jarl. And she would nod to him and step back into the crowd.
Yarna would come a bit closer, and she's still carrying the boar, and say, I prefer peace. Some may prefer war. Maybe they don't know what happens when you fight.
Ha! Niall laughs, and the raven.
I have no quarrel with those who prefer blood, and I will fight if needed, especially because the stories of these men are worrisome. I worry for the children, so I will protect them. I will help you, no problem.
Horst like rises from where he is sitting and goes to like move closer to the crowd, which makes Ha stand to go after him, which makes people part, and means that the Hemming sees him like standing as if he too will join. And seeing this, like that his foot is already over the fence, he like puts the other one over and doesn't say anything, but it's a nod to Hemming, as if he's like so swearing as these folk have. And then he looks angrily at the boy, who smiles mischievously.
And the Jarl would kind of give a grin at seeing the boy, and then just a nod towards you as well, acknowledging your presence and what would seem to him to be an offering as well. And he would look back to this man, the man who had come in to deliver this message. Now tell me everything that you saw of them, anything. Say, there's one of them who was huge, as big as any man I've ever seen. A strange woman. She gave me the creeps just to look at her. Paler than anything. Red hair. An eerie gaze. I couldn't place it, but it felt strange just to look upon her. And a band of warriors, one man in a bear skin, another man with armor and an axe. He's just trying to like recount all these things. And the Jarl would just kind of look to anybody and say, "What do you all make of this?"
The red-haired woman will be a skag, Jarl, a witch, foul sorceries, and profane magics.
And he would kind of, are you sure?
Why else would she be with this war band? Always with red hair they are. Ah!
And the Jarl would look kind of worried at that. We should be careful. See that we're not done in by this witch. He would kind of spit down onto the ground as he says the word witch. You can hardly manage to stomach saying it. It will be dangerous.
Though she may be a witch, she will die the same as any other man or woman. That can be assured. It will be the getting to her that will be difficult. Though it seems to me they do not mean to fight immediately. They are but here to speak, perhaps attempt to intimidate, though it would be wise to steal your mind in case the witch knows something of the magics of the Sather. Lest she influence you or us.
And the stories about this man, what do you all make of them? Many people have many stories. Most of them are exaggerations, if not outright false boasts. What do you make of a man who claims things that this man has claimed, stories that have said about this man what they have?
One cannot draw assumptions upon what they have not seen. Perhaps it would be best to not fear as of yet, but instead to see truly what this man is. And if he does claim to be Wolfen's son, as he says, we shall know. We shall see it for ourselves and perhaps test it.
We are all sons and daughters of Odin. The claim we can all make, and it's true. People have said of me that I am 10 feet tall, that I am a wolf, that I am a bear, that I've killed hundreds of people. People like to talk.
she would turn and look at you and just nod to you in deference when you say we are all sons of Odin. I mean, she believes that too, so she agrees with you. There's nothing that can be taken from calling himself Odin's son.
I think that no matter the stories, we shall receive these guests with honor and treat them fairly until they prove to be untrustworthy. I've heard many stories about many people. I know it's just another one.
I believe, Jarl, that we should look to the sagas and to the stories of Beowulf for this. Anyone with gumption and a sharp mind will take the measure of the two things, what is said and what is done. We have not seen what Odin's son can do. We have only heard what people say. Thus we cannot judge him.
Yes, your wisdom is appreciated on this matter. Perhaps it is best to defer judgment until we meet this man. See what he claims, see what he wants. If you all will do so, I'd like to have you alongside me at these negotiations, as it were. As a precaution, of course, and also I respect what you have to say, more so than most, proven capable and honorable. Perhaps you can help me size this man up in person, see what we'd like to do.
Twould be an honor, Jarl.
I'm not a diplomat, nor will I watch my words in front of enemies.
It will be an
Nor do
honor
I
as well.
I do not expect them to watch their words either. A man such as yours would be a good sign to have, I believe, on our
Then
side.
I'll go.
Well, unless there's anything else, suppose we should enjoy this night while we have it. Tomorrow seems like it will not be quite as festive. Unless there's anything else, he kind of looks to everybody, kind of waiting. And seeing nobody put anything forth, he would just kind of nod and turn back towards the group at large. Well, it's settled. Tomorrow night, me and some of our finest will ride out to meet this man and to discuss what it is that he wants to discuss. Tonight, we should enjoy ourselves while we can. Our fine hunter here, gesturing to Yarna, has had quite the catch. We'll make a good feast. If you don't mind, he would kind of gesture towards you, Yarna, to have some of the thralls take the boar to go prepare it for food.
Yep, absolutely.
And they would take the boar back, prepare it alongside with the other food. It's not too much later into the night that everything is prepared. A grand dinner. Of course, you guys as honored guests would get the lion's share and the first picks. And you'll have the night to do as you please before we move forward. If there's anything that you'd like to do in the meantime.
Niall would eat sparingly what he needs to, and then would set to watching the perimeters of the place over the night. He knows of war, and he knows that it's common enough for people to simply walk in and lock everyone into the long hole and burn it. And so he's very vigilant at night.
Yes, Yarna would actually feel quite the same. Times of war, she doesn't actually trust the words of this messenger. She doesn't know if they really will come the time they say they will come. So she's gonna eat, drink a little bit, and then stay outside and keep watch, making sure that no one sneaks in while the others are feasting.
So Torhild will look for an opportunity to speak privately with the Jarl. After receiving such a gift, she has to give one in return. She must to keep her honor intact. So she would approach him if she was given an opportunity to speak with him briefly.
Yeah, you would see him talking with a couple people, with Bori as well as a couple of the other men. But Bori would kind of nod, seeing you approach, and would step away to go back to the meal. And the Jarl would kind of look over to you. Ah, Thor's daughter, what is it that I can do for you?
And she would approach, kind of giving a nod and deference. My Jarl, I received the gift that you sent to me, that you had made for me. And she would kind of look to the throwing spear that's kind of with all the others in her back. It is a great gift, and I thank you greatly for it. I am not a woman who carries great wealth or many items with me, but what I do have, I offer. And she would pull a well-crafted seax from her bag, from like a sheath at her waist, and extend it to him. This is one of the last things that I have that my father created. It is of great worth, and you would see that it is very finely crafted. Her father was a good smith, if anything, and she would extend it to him. With this, I have already offered my services in the coming war, and I wish to express my thanks for your hospitality in the winter.
He would pick up the seax, kind of looking it over, nodding approvingly at the fine craftsmanship of it. It's been my honor to have such a capable warrior here as a guest. Thank you. He would kind of look over at Har and his son, Horst, just kind of, man is quite the craftsman, isn't he?
Yes, he's very skilled. I'm sure the God of Thunder will greatly appreciate the gift that he has offered me. He shall
Hopefully,
serve me well, I'm sure.
if it serves you half as well as his goods have served me, then I assure you that they will. One of the better that I've known. Be a shame when he's gone.
Indeed. His skill is great, that I could see. And she would look at him and kind of, again, give him a slight bow. I'm sure there are other people waiting to talk to him, people who are concerned, who need answers. And she would step away and then make her way towards Har and his son, Horst.
Yep, and the Jarl would kind of give just a light nod to you as you left to acknowledge, and then kind of turn back to some of the other folk that were speaking with him to return engaging with them.
And she would sit down at Har's table, where just like directly across from him and his son.
He'll nod and manage like a crooked attempt at a smile, and then nudge his son to like show a sign of deference. You honor us. And he like moves away like a chicken bone from a plate or something, feeling like nervous and looking for something to write, as in RIGHT.
Yeah. She would look at him across the table and smile and nod. You've honored me with the fair craftsmanship of your hand. And she would look at the spear again and just see just how beautiful it is. You truly are skilled with these creations. I've seen your other work as well. And I wished to thank you for the care that you put into your craftsmanship. And she would reach behind her and kind of pull one of these silver torques she uses as kind of like a braid holder from her hair and set it on the table in front of you. You told me that you leave soon, that your oath will be fulfilled. May what money this can bring in help you on the road. And she slides it across the table to you.
I cannot accept. You honor me too greatly. This is too much, he says. I merely did what was asked, no more or less than I have for any blade. He lies badly. The boy looks surprisingly at the silver lake. My stomach will not ache till next winter if we have that.
Yeah, and she would smile and say, my father was a blacksmith as well. He created beautiful works as well as this. And she kind of pulled the sword out of the scabbard and set it on the table. And she says its name, Amar Sportseg, which means hammer edge. My father, when he found this metal in one of the bogs of Gunland, it was in the shape of Thor's hammer. He created this from it. It was his, and he gave it to me. I can respect and honor somebody as skilled as you are, and I insist, please, take the torque. And she would slide it insistently towards him. You honor my father with your creations as well.
The boy probably looks wide-eyed at the fine blade, and Ha will begrudgingly say, shaggy-bearded Brocker would be jealous of what your father has wrought. But he can't discern if he means the blade or more. And he'll reach with his other gnarled hand and like take the brooch with like a thank you.
Of course. And she would proceed to eat at the same table as them as well, doing what small other honor that she can by being there with them and sharing the meal together.
After the first people leave, that's when Ha would leave and command his son to do so. He'd probably protest, but be near dragged. He never likes to stay later than the last few guests who leave to outstay his welcome at the feast table or to glut. So we'll go to the forge through like the sleet or like a cool wind, even though it's late, and he won't sleep in the long hall with the boy. I guess the boy will complain at it. But nonetheless, it is there they sleep for that night, and he would wake early, well before dawn, and the first rooster crow, and have some water boiled on the fire for a lukewarm bath for the boy and himself, and like cut his hair with crude shears and his beard, and notice that his son is nearly a man as he like clips at the hair above his ears, like cutting away the boy's haircut to one like closer of a man's. Who will not give him the warrior's cut. He looks at him appraisingly with like a half-cleaned finger, like lifting his chin up, and says, we must look fine and honor our Jarl and be clean and ready. Do not speak at all, he says, waving two fingers in the air, and it cuts through like the cool morning stillness. The boy probably swallows and is excited and trepidatious. But he's not our Jarl. While we sleep under his roof and eat his bread, he is our Jarl. The boy kind of looks about it, processing for a time, and maybe then the roosters crow and begins to make his way to wherever people are assembled.
Yeah, as you go to the long hall, I think you'd see that Torhild was up early too, kind of behind the long hall, almost between like the forest and the long hall itself, going through several stances, kind of swinging the blade, loosening the body, strengthening the limb as it was, and renewing her focus. And again, as you say, as the rooster crows, she would go towards the long hall too.
I think Ha would like turn the gaze of his son back to the path from like the warrioress at her practice in the morning and remind him, as he's done many, many times, yours is for the hammer, not the sword, son.
And unless there was anything else, We'd move forward a little bit. It's the early mid-afternoon when there's another man that bumps through the long hall where you all have gathered at the Jarl's request. They are here, Jarl, outside. They wish you to come and meet them. He would stand up, look towards one of the thralls. Say, ready my equipment. Those of you who would be joining me in this meeting, kind of spits the word meeting out. Ready yourselves. We'll go and see what these men have to say. We go to follow the thrall to have all his equipment put onto him.
Yeah, Nal would strap his shield onto his back and take into his two hands his great spear. This spear for hunting boar, long, sort of wide, flat leaf shape, with a sort of cruel spike behind it. He'd hold that in two hands and approach the gathering men.
Yeah, Torhild rises and follows. Glancing at those who rise as well to follow down the hill towards this designated meeting spot, apparently. In her mind, Odinson, though he may claim to be powerful, does not have the right to demand a Jarl out of his longhouse. So she is kind of bristling at this slight in a way.
Hall would be worried. He'll cut from the silver branch tree in the village, like a leafy branch. Actually, it's winter, so it wouldn't be leafy. But yeah, like a skeletal branch for the boy to hold aloft, and he'll grab the worn haft of like the fluttering banner of Hamingson's like colors or image, whatever it is, and step well back from the group, following in almost like with the deference of thralls themselves. And he'll hiss through his teeth, "Remember, boy, say nothing." You can see that they've even like combed their hair, and they're both wearing their second of two shirts.
If it's okay, I think that Yarna would have actually been scouting a bit. Because she's curious. She want to know who these guys are. So she will have been somewhere before they come to the village or the place that we are. She would just be somewhere high. If there's a small, I don't know, some hill or something, that she could see them coming.
All right, if you want to go ahead and roll me stealth.
20, yeah.
Yeah, so you find a tree. You think yourself well hidden. You're used to being out in the wilderness. You have clothes to match hunter's clothes. And you, as far as you know, have blended yourself in quite well to spot. And you would be able to see this group of people. One man stands out in particular. He's at least a head, if not more, taller than any of the other men. Huge. He's got to be almost 7 feet tall, if not more. As big a man as you've seen, and as broad as well. Next to him, the woman that you heard about. Pale skin, almost pure white. It's so pale, with quite long red hair. Another warrior, And then a second warrior who wears a wolf skin over his armor. And then a fifth man. And you would see them approaching towards outside of the town, far enough away, but still within sight of the gates where they are expecting the rest of the company to come out from soon. That's what you would see.
I would like, just before going down, to check if this is an ambush or if they're trying to move some troops from the side or somewhere. If this is just like a little party that they're sending when attacking us from somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah. You'll if you want to go ahead and roll me investigation to kind of scout around. That'll take a little bit of time to do though. So in the meantime, the others will kind of will go out to meet them. But you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, it's a 14.
Alrighty. We will get to that in just a little bit. So the rest of you, Njal, Har, Torhild, Jarl, Hemming, and his champion, Bori. You would leave from the town gates. Yes, and Horst as well, of course. Would leave from the town gates. The gate kind of rolls down a hill and out into an open field before it meets the woodlands. And you would see those 5 people, the same 5 that I had just described to Yarna. They're standing there, waiting expectantly for the lot of you to join. If there's anything you'd like to do or say to each other before walking to meet them, now is your last chance. Otherwise, the Jarl will approach. Yeah, so the Jarl walks down the hill, the rest of you behind. He stops short, about 20 or so feet from the rest of the group, leaving enough space to be comfortable. All right, we're here, as you asked. And with them all this close, you'd be able to see this woman. She has a staff that she uses. It's kind of like a walking stick, but it's a little taller. Comes almost to about her head. And strapped to it in like series of ropes that go through a hole are like strange charms and things that would seem to lend credence to the assessment of witch that Niall had offered earlier. You see strange things, the small corpse of a small woodland rabbit tied through one of the straps, a necrotic human hand, or at least it would appear, through another one, a couple of hack silver marked with strange symbols through another, all sorts of strange charms and markings that seem to follow on this staff. Looking at her seems to give you an unconscious kind of chill. Perhaps the weaker and less fortitude among you would kind of feel this strange tugging at your stomach just looking at this person.
Niall would watch her very carefully, though. He feels that disgust, probably more strongly than most people here, but he's also maybe more able to overcome it, and he would like watch that woman very carefully, and like if she were to begin like whispering or moving strangely, he would simply move forward, like without consulting anyone. So, if she starts to act suspiciously, he's going to go do something about it, and that would be, I think, clear by looking at him. His eyes would just be like boring into her as he like grinds his teeth.
I think Torhild has the same thought. She's watching the skag like very, very closely. Same thing going on, just watching for any movements of the hands, or for her to touch any of these strange items she carries with her, or for her to start whispering words of any kind. To make a point, she draws her sword and places it in the ground before her, making it very apparent that it is fine steel and that it has a history, as the runes etched along it kind of tell the story of the creation of this blade and its great deeds.
Perhaps surprisingly, it's the woman who speaks first on their side. Our Carl here has come here to make a deal. Negotiations, as it were. You see, we found it fit to see his place, his station in the Southlands, expand. His Carldom is not currently befitting of one of his stature and his ability. So, you've come to take more. Yeah, he's, Tyler, asking in the chat, he's very tall. He's not 10 feet tall, but he's probably pretty close to 7. Like, he's very large and about as broad as well. Like, he is quite notably big. I have come to discuss the terms with him, and they are quite simple. You as Jarl, and all of your warriors accordingly, she looks directly at the Jarl. If you will relinquish your positions, hand over the town, its wealth, its people to us, we will not kill you. You will agree to be exiled and to wander some miserable place other than here. And those are our terms. That is all. We will do that, or we will ready for battle and make our way.
Your Carl can offer the terms himself. We worship the gods, and we'll have no talk and no deals made with witches.
The witch, as you call her, goes to say something else, but the huge man next to her kind of just puts a hand out silently. Everything she said is exactly as I say. The Jarl and all the warriors.
What son of Odin are you to bring this witch with you? No son of Odin, I say.
As you get a better look, if you have Seathwise or any religion skill that you'd like to use, if you want to roll that for me, you can do so.
Yes, I do. Cool. Threw that dice on the ground. 1 second. Did you say is lore wise okay?
Yep. Yeah, that works. That works as well.
Okay. So that'll be a 17.
Yeah. So you say that, like, what son of Odin are you? And then as you start to get a better look, you tune in onto some of the markings that this man has. And while they're runic markings, being a holy man yourself, you would realize the markings on this man are not markings of Odin or any of the gods. They're marks of Jotun.
So yeah, he's like bellowing these challenges, and as he like looks at this man and sees the marks, he'll spit, and the raven will caw 3 times very loudly. Ah! 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 And he'll say, "You are no son of Odin at all. Those marks on his skin are not from the Allfather. They are from the Jotun. We will have no deal with you. I will have no deal with you. And he like thumps his chest.
Yeah, the Jarl is clearly taken aback by this sudden outburst from the Jarl on his side, and he seems to kind of stutter at a loss for words for a second. How does everybody else react to seeing this?
I think Torhild would kind of tune in on these markings as well. And would she recognize him as Jotun too?
Do you have knowledge of the runes? Any Seath-wise or lore-wise, things like that?
I have lore-wise. So I guess
Berserkers actually know how to read runes, is one of the things.
okay. Okay.
It's one of the skills they get, so I don't know.
I think I'd just take your word for it. And I mean, she has no reason not to trust you, and you obviously know runes. I mean, that's kind of your thing. So she would look at him and say, "You have committed a foul crime before the gods in lying, Odinson."
I have spread no lies. The words of people who do not understand are free to say what they will. They have done so. No such claim of Odinson have I made on my own. Simply what people are willing to believe.
And the gods shall strike you down.
They have
Yeah, but
struck me
like,
down.
go ahead.
They have struck me down before, and I have still come back. I may try again.
Niall will turn to the Jarl, and he will say, I will not stand by while you make a deal with these people. Even if it is for the safety of all who dwell in your city, I will not stand by and make deals with witches and servants of the Jotnar. I will not do it. I have sworn no oath to you. As I said, I would not swear an oath to a man, only to the Allfather. I will not defend this place. Sorry, I will defend this place, but I will not tolerate a deal with these people.
The Jarl, kind of finding his words after the outburst and everything that just happened. What you ask is unfair. You dismiss us out of turn. I will not stand for it. I've worked too hard to build this place up to what it is. Secure this station for myself and for the gods in their honor and my own. I will not give it up so easily, you would say. And kind of look towards Niall with like a nod. It's hard to tell if he was moved by your words specifically or by his own thoughts that he finally found words for, but he seems to agree.
Is there a peace branch or anything here? Is it like a sanctioned peace?
Horst holds a birch
does.
branch. For our part, anyway, I don't know if they bear one, but we definitely are like showing like that before the gods, peaceful intent and parlay. I imagine that Horst is like shaking. It wouldn't be shameful to do so in front of a Jotnar. It would be horrifying. And the skag makes Har swallow and his mouth pasty. And where usually he likes to meet the gaze of people he is like listening or deferring to, he cannot. But he's holding the fluttering banner, and his son holds the peace birch.
The Jarl says this, and then it's kind of a moment of still before this man inscribed with the runes of the Jotun symbols would just give a slow nod, almost unscathed, unworried by the words. Then it will be a fight. We will be back tonight here in this place.
No, unacceptable. You and me. These people need not die for your profane greed. The Allfather has chosen me as a true son of Odin, and I will not allow them to die.
The
I'll
man
look
go ahead.
between the peace branch and the enemies beyond, and kind of gives like an approving nod. And he waits, bated, to see for the response of any beyond, to see if they will shame themselves with cowardice and deny this, and show themselves truly one and all to be against the true gods and in service of fouler things by denying this sacred, legitimate right. He's nervous. And his hands probably instinctively go to his belt loop, which holds no weapons. Wouldn't be appropriate. So he tries to relax but cannot.
This man just smiles. The Jarl would look over to you, Njal. You don't have to do this in my stead.
The Allfather demands things of me, and this is something that he demands. The Jotnar are enemies of Odin. He hates them greatly. And I hate them greatly. And this sacrilege I cannot allow. I cannot allow the innocent men and women and children of this place to die for this creature's greed. And so I challenge you to Holmgang.
He looks, this man that you've challenged, looks to the Jarl. And when I win this Holmgang, will you accept its results? The Jarl looks concerned, trying to hide a tinge of fear, mostly successfully, but not completely. And the Jarl would just give one last look to Njal, kind of breathing a little bit heavily with nerves. Yes, I will accept it.
Good, then these are the terms that I suggest. Upon my victory, you and your horde of whatever they are never set foot in this Yaldum again and go no further, whichever direction he has come from, basically, like no further in the opposite direction. Additionally, this witch will be burnt.
And when I win, this place will be mine, along with all the people, all the wealth. And the warriors will be done with as the witch sees fit.
The warriors do not belong to anyone. They do not belong to this Jarl. They do not belong to you. They are free men, as are all who dwell here. If they want to leave when you become Jarl, what is to stop them?
Fine, if you are so eager for death, you'll have it.
One more thing. Burial rites for whoever dies. If you die, I will see you are dealt with appropriately, and you will do the same for me.
Of course, it is only fair that such honors would be commended. Prepare how you wish. We'll be back. Is there? I guess I should ask out of character because I'm not entirely sure. Is there like a certain time of day that holmgang would be most common to occur, like a specific designated time?
It would be like a dawn thing, like just as dawn is coming.
It's late in the day already. Prepare yourself how you will tonight. You die tomorrow. Dawn. Here.
Glory awaits.
With that, he would turn. The others would follow. Make their way back out to the woods, towards wherever they might be staying at this point, and would leave you there. The moment that they leave, the Jarl lets his facade of confidence slip, and immediately like looks nervous. His hands tapping nervously on his arm, his foot nervously on the icy dirt. Are you sure that was a good idea?
Allfather decides if it's a good idea or not. I will win or I will lose. If I win, they leave, and if I lose, I go to Valhall to sit with the Allfather and drink from curved horns.
Yes, and I lose everything here.
Then you should have challenged him yourself, Jarl.
Maybe so. Maybe we should have fought as a group.
You can fight after, if you wish. That's your decision, although I doubt you will.
Yeah, your words sting at him. As you say that, he would fall silent into thought. At this point, Yarna, you've finished your rounds. You would come back to see these groups alone. Your group alone. It seems like you've missed whatever has happened. You went around trying to see what you could find, but there was no tracks that you could see. No hidden ambush, no strange forces. It seems like this group was the only one.
Yeah, I would come back and try to assess the situation. Ask the first person I meet, like, what the hell happened? Are we gonna have war or not?
I think Torhild, as you kind of like approach and like start asking these questions, she like looks at you and realizes that you weren't there, and she starts laughing, and she's like, "Oh, Niall challenged Odinson to Holmgang," and she's just laughing, like it's the craziest thing she's ever seen, and she kind of looks up towards like the heavens. All Father bless him, and takes a large swig of mead.
Yeah, I think you would see on Yorna's face that she's not surprised. She kind of knew that this man, he wanted war, so yeah. Just all right. I suppose then it's all on his shoulder and on the crow. I assume the beast helped you. There was no ambush. There was no hidden force. There was nothing. Like, don't know how many there are. So, yeah, this is it, I guess.
Yeah, Toriel's trying to think of like any way at all in which she could provide any kind of help to this situation the Jarl's now in. The situation that, Njal's now in. And she just can't think of anything. I mean, it's not like the village has a witch that could do any. I mean, even if they did, Njal wouldn't accept it. So instead, she would go and sit again with Har and Horst and look at the two of them. Perhaps it'd be wise if you prepared to leave if things go poorly tomorrow. Unless you wish to serve a Jotun, that is.
He nods like he's already prepared to leave.
He would nod. I do not doubt the Allfather or Njal if he is confident that he can win.
He is confident that he can win.
One can never be certain in these things, though.
And yet he seems so.
And yet he seems so. And he would just kind of look at Njal. What's Njal doing right now? I mean, she would just look at Njal.
So he would be outside. He would be like applying like thick black paint to basically all of his body, like every inch of it, on his eyelids, everywhere, covering his ears. And then he would go through this like a laborious process of like taking some drops of his mushroom tincture and putting it into a small wooden bowl with some water, with some blood and some other things. He would like mix it with a wolf bone, and he would like mix it for a certain amount of time before he would then like use that water mixture to like apply runes to like various parts of his body, like the palms of his hands, his forehead, like this really like involved arcane process to get himself ready for the battle tomorrow. He's chanting all the while as well to the Allfather to give him strength.
Yeah, she would just watch him do this, kind of like taking in the whole scene, the ritual, as it were. And she can't help but just shake her head in admiration. The level of courage that this man possesses to face such a being by himself. She's never faced a Jotun, but she's heard stories.
Yarna would approach Njal, seeing him doing this preparation, and she would offer a necklace made of bones that she has. This is something that she made to remember her past. And usually she would make small things to offer people, but this is a special one. And she would say, I won't hide that I think what you're doing is foolish, but I respect your courage and I hope that you will win for the sake of these people. I have made this a long time ago, when I still had a boy. May Earl be with you. I know that he is not your god, but I think he will give you strength as well.
I'm grateful. And he'll like take it and put it on slowly, and he would like look, and you can just see like these white eyes and like the black paint all over his face and like the rune that's been drawn onto his forehead. I will not win or lose. We will be the All-Father. It is out of my hands.
With that, the Jarl just makes his way back to the hall, content to wait out in an anxious agony the next morning. And we're going to go ahead and take a super quick break here before we get into this dawn and what will happen there. So if you guys just want to take a quick 5 minutes, we will hop back in and watch Lloyd die.
Yep, can't wait. Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I don't want to fight that guy.
He's so scary.
Dude, Odinson, man, I dig it.
Yep, I hope this is not too disruptive, Jeff, but it's like there's just no way that this like zealot maniac would be like, I'm just going to let this happen. He would for sure throw himself in the line of fire.
No, I mean, it makes sense. We'll just have to see if it actually resolves the conflict or not.
Yeah.
Is the real question. Because it's pretty badass that you're doing it. But oh god, I'm scared. I'm scared for you.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
And I mean, like I put in the chat, I'm like worried that like Owenson's gonna win, and then we're all gonna be homeless, and he's gonna be like slaughter them all because like he can, because now he's a Jarl and it doesn't matter.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, this is going to be so painful. Yep. So this ritual, I guess I made them yesterday. I actually nerfed it from what I had yesterday, Jeff. It used to give +2 armor class, but I thought that was too much. But yeah. So it's concentration. I cast it, and then I get some bonuses, mostly about not getting like brutally wounded.
Yeah, I can see that. You're gonna want to hope that those concentration saves go well.
Yeah, I know.
And Torhill's just like praying. She's like sending up prayers to Thor. It's like help him win, basically. There's a little thing I want to do pre-battle, by the way, if that's okay.
Yeah, totally fine. So unless it's like right now time sensitive, we'll move ahead to the next morning. It's a bit before dawn. You can see bits of gold and light start to peek through the night sky, but most of it is still dark. And first I want to give Niall a chance. This ritual that you're casting, what would that look like? What would that be like? What would they see him doing as he's actually casting this spell?
So it would have been basically from the time he accepted, he would have been going through the process of preparing himself for battle. As I say, he would have painted his whole body black with like clay and stuff from the surrounding lands, so that no part of him is showing skin. He would then go through the like laborious process of like scraping off the black from where he has tattoos so that those show clearly. And then he would begin the process of this actual this ritual. This is the third spell that Odin knows, and it's one of the great gifts that Niall has learned in his life. A third I know. If sore need should come of a spell to stay my foes when I sing that song, which shall blunt their swords, nor their weapons, nor staves can wound. From Havamal, and he would like have that memorized, and he would take this bowl and he would drop part of his like tincture, this mushroom tincture, into the bowl, along with like some blood and some water, and he would like mix it with this wolf bone for 3 minutes exactly. 3 is the sacred number of Odin. And thereafter he would spend a number of minutes like applying or basically rubbing away the black that he's painted on himself and applying these runes, Odinic runes, to various parts of his body, his forehead, the palms of his hands, his groin, under his feet, every part of himself that he needs to have protected, until finally he'd be standing there with just his bare pelt, his shield and his spear, painted black and runic and ready to go.
That's awesome. You can have a point of inspiration for challenging this man to a home gang, and then also for that awesome ritual. So Niall emerges, having done all this. I'm assuming the rest of you would have woken up in order to see this, and you'd see him approach, covered in black, marked with Odinic runes. The Jarl is standing nervously amongst you, and seeing all that Niall has done to ready himself for this, kind of nods, put at a little bit of ease, but still not completely confident. That much would be obvious. But I'm curious how the rest of you would react to seeing him arrive like this.
Toril would approach him in religious deference, seeing him go through this ritual and seeing all these things that he's doing to honor the gods and receive their blessing. She can't help but feel, again, a bit of respect for this man. And she would approach him, and I almost imagine that he's kind of like he's carried away in the berserk gang right now. His eyes wild, kind of he's ready. And she would reach up to her neck and pull this Mjolnir amulet from her neck. And it's old, it's rusted, it's ancient, almost it looks. And she would extend it towards him and say, "This was forged by my father's hand, and it carries his blessing. May it serve you, and may Thor protect you."
He would like take it in his hand and like press it tight, and then tie it around his neck. But he's just muttering to himself, "Odin, oh Father, guide me." And he's almost kind of like dancing and like jumping up from foot to foot, this weird sort of like shamanic dance as he's getting ready for the battle. He doesn't look at you at all. He just takes it and then puts it around his neck. He's like, his eyes are like squarely on where the fight is going to be.
Yeah, she would just nod and kind of step away. She's not trying to take his mind off the fight or anything. She's just doing what little she feels she can to give him a blessing.
I would have arrived early and taken the birch branch from yesterday and cut it into lengths as equal to each other as he could get, and try and make a circle upon where the hill meet the flat where we met yesterday. A circle of death, and he'll be careful not to look into it or like step over the shards into it, and like placing them down, being like cautious that once he lets his fingers go and places it into the cold earth, that he doesn't need to move it again. And then he'll step back and let out like a proper low breath and realize that his heart has been like beating up in his chest. He observes a solid moment and then retreats to like the nearest tree where Horst stands, packs laden, an old cart heaped with gear. He says, "You've washed, eaten. Let me see your hands and fingers. Good. You'll see a hard thing today, a thing you must watch. You will learn. Beware. Where the wolf has ears, there too are teeth. And if this should go ill, and yon Jarl would not hold his word, and I will fight and you must run. Swear to me, boy. Swear to me that you will run." And he's like pointing this finger accusationally almost, and his hands are shaking like with fear and worry. And he'll wait till the boy nods, content with that, if not words. And then he looks and sees others approaching through the mist, and he'll swallow. "Remember, don't speak. If it goes ill, run." And then he'll like take from the pack this shields that he'd finished painting last night, and he'll stand beyond the threshold of the circle waiting to throw it in should a combatant need it if theirs is shattered. And he'll try and stand like a statue without complaint or movement as long as need be, as reverentially as possible.
It's not too long until from the woods to the south, you see them once again. This man, Logi Mather, the witch, and the rest of his warriors walking. Logi Mather too has symbols of sorts scrawled all around his body. As he approaches, As they start to get closer, the woman kind of turns to him and see her say something to him. She takes the small corpse of the woodland rabbit that's on the end of her staff on one of these strings. She pulls out a small ritualistic knife and saws and crunches one of the feet off of the rabbit, handing it over to Logi Mother, puts it in his mouth, and with a wince begins chewing on it. As he does so, the woman runs the dagger across the body of the rabbit, smearing her hand into the body, grabbing a fistful of blood from the rabbit, and begins wiping it across Logi Mother's chest in strange, weird symbols. As she does so, he kind of begins to almost heave a little bit. His breathing picks up as he makes his way towards the circle and awaits his challenger. And assuming that you would approach Niall along with the others behind, you would have seen all this happen. These unholy, profane symbols scrawled on him with rabbit's blood. His mouth anxiously chewing at the rotting foot of the creature. But he stands somehow with more of a fury and intensity than he had before. His body is kind of heaving almost unnaturally ever since that happened.
Niall would see it as like this sort of chicanery that witches do, this sort of nonsense magic, this like evil bullshit that cannot compare to the power of the All-Father. So he doesn't get worried. He's like jumping from one foot to the other, kind of like bouncing up and down a little bit as he's like getting himself up into this battle song. And you can start to hear him kind of, Odin, Odin, Odin. As he's like leaping up and down, he starts to bang his spear against the shield, and then he's like chewing on the rim of the shield, almost fully in a rage.
Other than this unnatural heaving, Logi Mother doesn't seem to move. He does no such things, no songs, no dance. He just pulls the axe from behind him. On it, you can see inscribed in runes, Eldiotnarax, or the axe of the fire giants, in runes across the side of it. He would just hold it in both hands, his gaze locked on you, Niall, as he readies himself.
So I imagine that there's like a religious official who comes out and will like declare it begun, and Niall will begin singing this this song of death. Cattle die, kinsmen die, you yourself must someday die. One thing that never dies, the judgment of a dead man's life. And then he'll like run forward, screaming, howling.
Not wanting the witch to like profane this holy rite before the gods by like signaling its commencement, I'm gonna like try and screech in and yell begin with like severity and finality, and like stand back, just holding this fresh shield. And I'm going to use my action to aid our brave protector. Use the help action to give him advantage on his next skill check. I think it can include initiative.
Ooh.
And watch on with clenched teeth.
Speaking of initiative, So obviously the custom is not for people to interfere. If anybody has plans to, or just in case would like to roll initiative, you may do so, and we can add it in if you decide to take action.
So
but for the-
question is so when you say you can't interfere, if I were to accidentally turn my blade and shine light into his eyes, would that be interference?
That would be blasphemous.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it would be frowned upon.
Honor's more important to her than that, so she wouldn't do that then, if that's what's frowned upon.
Like, you can shout encouragement, certainly, and shout insults and things like that. I think it's fine, but I think like actions beyond that would be definitely frowned upon.
Yeah, so she can't take any like physical action or anything like shining the light or anything. She wouldn't do it because she doesn't want to go to hell. So
Sure.
I'm watching the witch. If she is doing something, like moving her lips to do some incantation or some shit, I might just think that she's helping and that she's being unfair, so just keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, it would be like so dishonorable on their side, but maybe they don't care, you know. But yeah, that's a good idea. So with the ritual, Jeff, my AC is 23.
So Har runs up, not wanting the witch to start the fight, yells, begin. And within a blink, Logi Mother is from the edge of the circle where he started, and he's right in your face. He moves with an absurd speed, something that you've never seen before. And within seconds, he's unleashing a barrage of axe smashes at you. As he goes into a frenzy, is going to make 4 attacks. 2 of those will be 22, which thankfully will miss. 2 of them, one of them is going to be a 25 to hit, and one is going to be a 30 to hit.
Yeah, that just hits.
God, that's going to hurt so bad. Oh God, you're going to take 19, then 20 damage for 39 total.
Whew, okay.
As he just, with like, as I said, this ridiculous speed, this ghostly, unnatural speed, he's just unleashing a barrage of axe strikes left, right, up, down. You manage to kind of stop 2 of them, but the barrage is so quick and so unexpected that 2 of them cleave into you. I imagine in your state you hardly feel the bite, but anybody watching would be able to see how serious the wounds are.
Ooh, yep, those are serious. So Niall quickly realizes that he's not going to be able to like outpace this guy, but he knows that he's scrappy and he's like trained his whole life in the muddy pits to drag people down to the muck, and so he's going to try and grapple him. I'm the wrestler, so I'm going to be very good at this. I don't know if I'll be as good as Logie Mather, but it's my best attempt, I think. So he's going to actually he's like standing there, and he's going to take those 2 blows. One of them probably like cracks the shield that he's holding, and he like thunk in the muck, like skids to a halt, and then like leaps forward, like jumps up high, but then drops his spear and like dives down low at Logie Mather's legs. He's going to try and like dump tackle him. Okay, it's really good. It's a 26 for athletics.
He got a 25.
Yep. So I'll get him onto the. Well, I won't grab onto the ground yet, but I'll basically grapple him. He might stay where he is. Like I try to dump tackle him, but he stays standing. But then like Niall is like all over him, and it's like climbing onto his back and like wrapping his hand around his throat and things like that. He will take 7 damage every round that I have him grappled. That's part of my wrestling business. So that's my action, and then. That's all the stuff. Grapple is an attack, isn't it? So I could still use a second attack, which I will use definitely. I'm going to try and slam my shield on the side of his head. That will be a 21 to hit.
He is at 20 right now, so that will hit.
Whew, baby. It's going to be 8 points of bludgeoning from that. Just like he's got him, he's on his back. He like takes the shield and just like boom, slams into the side of his head. And that's going to be it for Niall for now.
Yeah, you slam him with the shield. He barely flinches, just as you barely flinched from his axe bites at you before. As he's grappled, he chokes up on the axe higher up on the handle so that it's much of a smaller range of motion, so he can still try to bite at you as you grab him. The first 2 attacks are thankfully going to miss, but with a 23 and a 29, the next ones will hit.
Shit, son.
Oh god, I am just rolling killer on these damage dice. That is going to be 19, then 17.
Okay, I'm still up. 2 brutal strikes like over his back, and there's like these spurts of blood from the black form of Niall. Niall is going to take his action to force Logimatha to the ground. That's one of the things I can do as a grappler, wrestler. So I use my action to make him prone. I don't suffer the effects of being prone, but he does. So I'll have disadvantage. And I'll have advantage, which I will now use to slam that shield down in his throat. And that's a crit. Fuck yes. Oh, God. Oh, please, Odin. Okay, so because I'm level 7, I have Strikes Dangerous Blows, which means I add my Strength mod to my Brutal Wound roll. So I roll a d12 and a d20.
Yes, sir. God, if this is...
d12 is a 12. And then the d20 is 13 on the die plus my Strength mod, which is 4, so 17.
Alrighty. I accidentally closed the drive that I had open, so let me get that back up. If you have it like right on hand, and you want to look at it, then go ahead.
Yep, I can do that.
It'll take me a second to load it back up because I'm dumb.
So 12 is the head, which makes sense. That's where I was trying to hit him.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
it's going to be... Oh, bludgeoning isn't done yet, so I might go with unarmed, if that makes sense. Or what do you think?
Yeah, close enough.
Okay. 17.
If this is an instant kill, oh my god.
Oh god, imagine. Oh, these are not updated properly. 17 would be this one. So a powerful blow to the opponent's chin breaks the jaw in several places. He has to pass a Constitution saving throw, which would be a grit save, or be knocked unconscious. On a successful save, they're stunned until the end of their next turn and have disadvantage on attacks until the end of the encounter. The jaw will have to be wired or tightly bandaged to heal, forcing your opponent to eat through a straw. So he needs to make a grit check. It says here DC 15, which I assume he'll just auto-pass.
Yeah, he makes it.
So he will be stunned, though, on his next turn. So the shield just comes down as he's like thrown onto his back and just cracks him in the jaw, and there's this audible and maybe like a tooth goes flying as the shield smashes down in his jaw. Yeah, Yep, that's going to be Neil's turn.
Did you give me a damage on that one?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. That'll help. That'll be 11.
And then he also takes 7 static from the
Yeah, from being grappled.
Alrighty. God, this guy is a monster.
So
Alright,
he's
yeah.
stunned.
You
Right?
smash him in the chin and it dazes him momentarily. He's like gone to the ground and then just got bashed in the face. There's a sickening crack as the shield crunches part of his jaw. And he's wrung from the blow. And that'll be your turn.
Okay, here we go. Two attacks with advantage because he's prone and stunned and shit. Come on. Odin! Witness. That's going to be... so probably a hit. It's 18 plus 7.
Yep, his AC is 20.
Okay, and the second... 20. 13 plus 7. So it'll be 2 hits. I wonder, should I pick up the... Should have done that before I rolled. Right now, I'll do it next turn. So I'll just take the shield again and just like bam, bam. And he's just like brutally trying to smash this shield and like cave the skull. This like brutal, desperate attempt. So it's going to be 7 for the first and 6 for the second, plus the 7 from him being grappled. So Niall is just like screaming Odin and like singing this battle song and just like holding his shield with both hands and just like trying to smash this skull in, although it doesn't seem to be breaking for some impossible reason.
Yeah, despite everything that you've done to him, it's like you're just bashing and bashing. And he's bringing his arms up where he can, and like, but even when you hit his skull, it's somehow, some way, as you say, his head manages not to explode from the blow, like most men would.
Can I use my interaction to pull the axe from his hand? If he's stunned?
Let me double check exactly what stunned says in 5e real quick.
Sure,
First.
yeah.
I can be sure.
It's definitely pushing it, but I thought, you know. Incapacitated, it says.
Stunned, yeah. I mean, it does say that they automatically fail strength and dex saves. Oh yeah, Tyler does have a good point that he was stunned until the end of his next turn, which has passed. So I don't think he's currently stunned.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he's just grappled.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, so then I'll just make the attacks.
All right. Yeah. Logie Mother just takes this huge beating, but he's still fierce and he's still pushing. And he doesn't even try to get you off of him. He doesn't push. He just, again, keeps his axe choked up in his hand and is just going to try to cut into your stomach from underneath you as you go to like lift your shield and bash.
He has disadvantage there, right? Because he's grappled and prone.
He's had advantage this whole time from his frenzy, so it's actually canceled out and
Gotcha.
it's even. And it's still going to be 2 hits, 28 and a 23. 18 and 19 will miss. And that is going to be 14, then 15 slashing damage, so 29.
He's still alive, so barely.
As you just like, you're like on top of him going to like bash, and as you go to lift, he just like cuts in, just like sweeping with just what's left of the axe haft where he's choked up on it, just cutting into your stomach, just left and right, just basically it's like a saw on your stomach as you go to reach. But that will be his turn.
So Niall is like so close to death. He's like bleeding from these brutal wounds all over his body, and he's gonna like in his last moments as he like sees this beautiful woman like flying down from the golden sky. He's gonna like throw away his shield and like grab the spear he had dropped in both hands and just like try and shove it through this guy's chest in one glorious final go. Okay, that'll be a 21. And that's a critical hit. Oh, fucking yes. Odin! Advantage. Okay. Oh, let me do damage. And then get killed. Maybe I'll cripple him. Okay, so the damage for the first is going to be 7. The damage for the crit is going to be 19. And he'll take 7 from the grapple, and then the crit itself.
Alrighty.
All right, let's pray.
You need this. You need this.
Okay, it's a 3 on the die, and it's a 14 on the... Sorry, 3 on the d12, which I don't know what that is. That's a leg, I think. Yeah, it's his left leg, and then it's a 14 plus my 4, so 18.
18.
That's really strong. That needs to go. Adding your strength mod to the brutal wound, it's too good.
It's insane. Yeah,
Yep,
it's
that has
very,
to
very
go.
strong.
So piercing on leg 18. Do you have it, Jeff? Or do you want me to have it?
I had the doc pulled up, but it's like super slow for me right now. So if you have it right there, then go ahead and read it.
Okay, yep. Your weapon tears into the back of your opponent's knee, severing an artery as well as the tendons and nerves. Your opponent will have to pass a DC 20 grit check or pass out. The leg will have to be amputated or gangrene will ensue in the nearly bloodless leg within 1d10 days, causing death in another d10 days. Successful magical healing will save his life but not restore the function of his leg.
He crit his grit check.
Amazing. Okay, so he still loses the leg, it seems. He doesn't pass out, but the leg is basically not functional. So Niall like stabs the first one down and like catches him in the chest, and then he like stands up and then just like shoves the spear through Logi Mather's left knee, and there's like a this disgusting noise, and he like severs the leg, and then he like howls at the sky. Oh, Odin!
Yeah, and Logi Mother lets out one of the first like sounds of like actual battle that you've heard from him. He's been like eerily silent, but then just would let out just like as the spear goes through his kneecap. But not content to end there, he's going to just lean up, not able to use the leg, and take his axe. Oh, 4 HP. Yeah. He takes the axe and just with a swing, just there's a sickening thud, a spray of blood as you will be hit for 17 damage.
Yeah, immediately falls unconscious, probably dead. Although you would see like this insane like wood splintering grip on the spear as he like falls to the ground. I'll roll a grit check to see if I hold on to it, will I?
Yep, go for it.
Oh, please. Okay, yeah, so it's 13 on the die, and my grit's super high because I'm a berserker. So 20 total.
Yeah, that's well enough. Yeah, so the rest of you just see it almost looks good for a second. As Niall just like bashes his jaw in, like it stuns him, and then he just starts smashing with the shield. He grabs the spear, runs it through his knee, and then just nothing that happens to this man seems to phase him enough to bring him down. As he finally just brings up the axe, it just thunks just right into the collarbone, just sinking through the bones and into his chest. Logi will just grab the body, throw him aside off of him, since he had been on top of him, and just let out a roar, still lying on the ground with a bad leg, just "Ah!" As somehow Niall seems to hold to the spear. Logi tries to bring himself up onto the bad knee. He's not able to do so, as he is lying, kind of clutching on his good leg while the rest sinks down. I'm curious to see how everybody reacts.
Is it okay to enter the ring now, or should you stay out still?
So I think the
good-
people that are obligated by the oath, like the Jarl and his people, the people who serve him, I think would not be able to do so. But I don't think you're technically under any obligation to
Yeah,
that.
I haven't sworn an oath.
It'd be
So
questionable, I think, either way. So it'd be up to you.
yeah, I don't think I'd enter with any malice or anything. Like I'd keep my distance from Logi Mothra, obviously, but I would check Niall to see is he dead or just unconscious, basically.
I'll leave
He's
that
dead.
to Lloyd
His
to say
spirit
for
is
sure.
gone. You can see, say, pointing and joining you. I will take him and bury him. Like heft the weight, pick up the broad man bodily, moving away the strain and fear of the one who'd slain him, even in his maimed state.
I'm going to roll something real quick for the Jarl. Ooh, yeah. All right. That was the Jarl is like horrified as he sees Niall dead, essentially on the ground. If not dead now, then on his way very soon. He starts to panic, and his hand goes to the sword at his side. He takes a step towards Logi Mother, and kind of almost a furious haze.
As if he's going to strike Logi Martha, or like kneel down and offer him his sword, as would be correct.
It looks awful crazy to be a simple offering. Like his hand is like on the hilt of it, like as he's like moving forward with a purpose. Like his face is kind of almost panicked.
I'm not gonna like let Niall's body slump down to the ground. I'll just give like a to Thorild and then gesture with my eyes to the side of our Jarl where his hands have gone to his sword. Kind of put the ball in her court.
She would slowly stand to her feet after kneeling next to Niall and look at the Jarl and try to catch his gaze, like to gauge what he is doing right now. Because if he attacks, he dooms everybody.
If you want to roll insight, you can, but you can't catch his gaze. His gaze is completely fixed on the prone form of Logi Mother.
Yeah, insight would be that'd be a 16.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to see. This is the face of a man who is on the verge of losing everything that he's worked so hard for so long to earn, and to see it thrown away by another man's battle, even one that he agreed to, and by all rights should allow to be fulfilled. These are the steps and the motions of a furious, if even delusional and crazy man.
So, Torhild, in some ways, wants to let him. The sacrilege she's seen, the markings on this man's skin. I almost imagine that now that she's close enough to him and she can see them in detail, she just feels the profanity of what he's done to himself. She can see the bits and pieces of that crunched up rabbit's foot kind of flecking his mouth now that his jaw can't hold itself shut. The blood dripping down. And she stares at him and looks at the Jarl and almost lets him. But she's seen hell. When she was struck by lightning, she was unconscious for 7 days. And in those 7 days, she spent each moment in hell. And so she knows what awaits an Oathbreaker. And she's going to move to try to stop him. These things that we have here are physical, unimportant things. But sacrificing yourself in the afterlife is the greatest disservice you can do yourself. So she's going to try and get there to stop him before he can strike down Logi Mather.
Alrighty, if you want to make an athletics to restrain him or otherwise block him.
I don't think I would restrain him because I promised him my blade, but I would try and persuade him to see better. So I'm going to do a persuasion check if that's okay.
Okay.
Oh, not the time to roll low. Okay, that's a 7 plus 2. Oh no, 7 plus 4, so 11.
Yeah, I mean, you would have known by staying here so long that Jarl Hemming, while he was very generous, he was exceptionally proud of what he was able to build for himself. And to see that all like teetering on the verge has basically sent him into almost like a delusional spiral. Like he's desperate to cling on to the greatness that he had managed to achieve. And you try to persuade him, but unless you physically restrain him, he's going to step forward. The sword is now starting to slide out of the scabbard.
So I'd be saying things like, Jarl, think of the oath you break. Think of what you condemn yourself to. And like I'd go, is it my place to stop him if he chooses to break this oath?
He's not a Jarl anymore.
Yeah, he's not a Jarl anymore. It's true. Okay, I would go to grab his arm then to stop him. I'd be whispering, I'd be saying things like, build it again. Go somewhere else. You don't need to die here, neither does anyone else. And that would be... So is athletics okay to try and stop him?
Yep.
Okay, so that'd be a 15.
He got an 18.
So I almost imagine he just shrugs her off and like pushes her away from him, and she kind of like stumbles away and like tries to get there again before he raises the sword, and she's not. I don't know if she's going to be there in time or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna say not at this point. So it'll be up to you guys again if you would like to participate or not. But there's two. The sword goes down at Logi Mather. This man is like a ruined mess, Logi Mather, at this point. His jaw is fractured and smashed. His knee is been run through by a spear. But somehow still, the sword of the Jarl is not able to connect. The axe bashes it aside. Another slash comes down, but it's bashed aside just the same. Even lying on the ground, maimed, Logi Mather fights on still, and both attacks will miss. And if any of you would like to participate, you can roll initiative, as all the others seem to move into action towards the Jarl. if you would like not to participate and leave, you may also roll initiative still, but choose to do that. All right, and is that still a 20 total for you, Tyler, or what's your initiative mod up?
Yeah, I've got +0 to initiative, so yeah, 20 total.
Perfect. Right, missing anybody? I don't think so. So this strange woman, Yosrauther, the witch, grabs at the knife, cutting the rope of this strange necrotic human hand that's been tied to her staff. She begins to whisper strange words. As she does, she brings up the hand, gnawing on one of the fingers. She bites one of the fingers off the hand, chewing the necrotic flesh into a powder, kind of spitting it out for a second. Suddenly, the Jarl seems to like double over in pain. He throws up, hurling, like racked with pain. You can see his face kind of contort and twist, unsure of exactly what's just happened to him. Logi Mother takes that opportunity to, from the ground, pull back down on the axe and swing it upwards, even with disadvantage, able to strike twice at the Jarl. Doing a whole lot of damage. Just the axe just thunks into the Jarl from the ground. Logi Mother just roars out, "We had a deal." The Jarl looks severely injured. His face is contorted with this like sickness that the witch seems to have cast upon him. Logi Mother has buried an axe into his chest, torn it out, and then buried it again into his leg, trying to bring himself up to his feet, but unable to due to his leg injury. Torhild, you see a couple of the other warriors beginning to approach the Jarl, weapons coming out, preparing to be ready.
Are the Jarl's men moving forward too?
Yeah, you see like Boris drawn out his weapon as well, ready to defend the Jarl, even in this treasonous oath breaking, still ready to follow through on his own promise to the Jarl.
Torhild looks at the oath breaking that is going on in disgust, and she just shakes her head. Fools. And she pulls the throwing spear that the Jarl gave her out of her quiver, or her like little holder, and slams it into the ground point first and leaves it running towards Har. And she's going to push Har towards the cart. Go, I will cover your escape. You and your son need not die here. If you make it out, if they do not follow you, if I'm able to survive, I'll meet you up Lungovic. and she would turn back and draw her blade, intending to fight only if attacked. So I'm going to take the ready to action to attack anyone who attacks me.
Fair enough. Har and Horst, you see Torhild beckon you off to take your leave, run to safety. What do you do?
I'm going to heft the body of Njal onto the cart and point to the woods and bark for Horst, go. Then I'm going to draw my smith's hammer and move up, rushing towards where the Jarl and Logi Martha are struggling. And with two hands, I'm going to raise it up and bring the hammer down on the back of Jarl Hemming's skull.
All right. The first attack you can make with advantage, as he would be surprised by you coming to take him down.
22 and 17.
The 22 will hit. The 17 will not.
I'm going to action surge. 21. And a 17 again, so that'll miss. So 2 hits. .22 bludgeoning damage.
The axes from Logi Mother and whatever this strange woman seemed to do to him beforehand, added up with the 2 blows from the hammer. If you're trying to kill him, you may describe how that goes. Otherwise, you may describe what you do. But he's down. 0 HP.
I'm not trying to kill him so much as stop him, but I think like a smith's hammer to the back of the skull would just be like a pop of a wet melon, and he'd fall to the ground, spasming. And then I'd raise my gaze to the witch and Logi Martha and say, I was here, I heard the oaths spoken before the gods. They're honored now. He cannot circumvent them or raise a hand against you. So let those go who wish, and those who would stay do what they may. No more blood needs to be spilt. And then I'm going to turn and begin walking away.
Neither the witch or Logi Mother will take opportunity attacks as you walk away. They will forego them. Bori looks in horror at everybody. Still, not yet his turn to act, but just in shock that the Jarl, by his accounts, whether right or wrong, has just been betrayed, and would let out a gasp. But before that, Jarl Hemming is quite dead. Magnus is going to wait, looking to Logi Mother and the witch to see what they command, and will hold an action. Yarna.
Yarna is going to do the same. I'm drawing my bow. And definitely did not expect the smith to kill the Jarl. Or not Jarl anymore. But I do understand why he did it. So I will wait and see, readying an action to especially hit the... I want to try and kill the witch if they decide that they want to kill us all.
Yeah. So the man in the wolf coat over his armor, and this other warrior next to him with these like strange gold teeth. They're all just kind of waiting, looking to Logi Mother and the witch, waiting to act. They don't know exactly what's happening. But Bori, old Bori, he pulls out his blade, and his shield, and as you walk away, Har is going to say, "You traitor!" And he's going to charge at you and attempt to attack you.
Would you let me intercept that? Because I've got the blade lock ability, so I can attack if he attacks and block his strike.
You rated an action, right? To fight
Yeah,
people who
I'm just
attack
trying to
you.
think if he was going to be close enough. I'll say yeah.
Okay, so if he hits, I can intercept it with an attack.
All right. The first attack is going to be a 14. Does that hit Har's
Misses.
AC?
Maybe you see it coming in my periphery, and so veering there's this whoosh past my ear. I think my first instinct would be that it was one of Logi Martha's minions.
Yeah, the blade would whir by. You're right, just able to catch it, and you would turn and you would see the face of Bori, the Jarl's champion, caught up in a rage as well, at his Jarl being struck down by you. The second attack would be a 26 to hit.
That misses as
So-
well. Just kidding. That hits.
Okay, I'm going to try to
And-
intercept this one.
All right.
That is a nat 20.
Yes.
So
Justice.
How does that look?
justice. I imagine. So, what is Bori wielding? Is it a sword? Is it an axe? What is it?
It's a sword.
So, I imagine that the first strike comes swinging, and I scream at Har to duck, and he kind of like falls forward and like turns, seeing Bori kind of swinging at him, and I'm screaming at Bori, "Son Sorthan, have you no honor?" And for those of you who don't know, a San Sorthan is a person, is a man who puts himself in the position of a female. I basically called him gay and honorless. So I step forward, and as the sword comes down, just like with a flick of the wrist, the blade is there. I'm wielding it two hands right now. And I catch it, I spin it around, and I disarm him in the same strike, burying his blade in the ground and putting my sword to his throat. Your honor, your Jarl has betrayed his honor. Will you betray yours, Bori?
I swore an oath to him. By not doing this, I betray my honor.
And so is he intent on killing Har?
It would, at least for now, seem to be the case. He is not letting up that aggression quite yet.
So if he persists in trying to kill Har, I guess we'll see if we come around to see if he's still being aggressive on my initiative.
Yep. So that was Bori's turn. He has just attempted to attack. He was unsuccessful in that attack. Yost, the witch, puts her arms under Loki Mother's arms. Somehow, this like tiny woman is able to drag this man. She begins doing so. She lets out like a shrill, a whistle, and you would hear somewhere towards the south, where they had come from originally, what would sound like a wolf howl, but like an octave and a half lower. Like it's just this low humming, ooh, this like strange sound. But nothing quite yet. Logi Mother is content to let himself be dragged by this witch. Torhild, Bori is fuming. You toss his sword aside with your disarming. He goes to reach for a knife at his belt.
And I look Bori in the eye. If you persist in this, and if Har will allow it, I will challenge you to Holmgang right here and now, Bori. You choose your oath to a man rather than your oath to the gods. Have you no honor?
if you were speaking to a person in a rational mindset, you're sure that your words would have merit. But everything has happened so quickly now, this home gang, and then suddenly the Jarl is killed by this man. He's not right of mind right now. And your words seem to bounce.
Okay. Well, I would look at Har, and what is Har? What is his opinion on the matter? Does he wish to fight him to preserve his own honor, or will he allow Torhild?
Har's going to take out his, he's got the hammer, and I guess, so he'll put that in his loop and just harry roughly at the leather cords that tie the side of his briny up, and like open up his armpit and ribs, and grab the tip of Bori's blade and place it under his armpit and say, "Kill me if you must. Never swear false oaths. Great and grim is the reward for breaking of troth. This won't bring back your Jarl. You know him no oaths. He's an oath breaker and dead. You are a free man. Do as you wish, but know, if you kill me, my son will come one day, and he will kill you." And then I think Horse slumps at the cart hearing this, letting Gnarl's like arms sprawl out the sides, and the cart like tip down, and he turns running, but he's too far away as yet. But he's running towards this confrontation.
Bori freezes at that, unsure of exactly what he's going to do. And we will see once we get down to him. I will, Torhild, if you'd like to use your turn now, you're able to do so. If you are just going to wait and see what happens, then you can do that as well.
If this is Har's wish, I would step back and I guess just see what happens. Maybe ready to action that if Horse tries to attack Bori, if things go south, I'm going to stop him.
All right. The other warriors, hearing the witch whistle and the low rumble in the distance, will kind of look to each other, almost in a bit of fear, before kind of moving back away from each other, from kind of the events that are happening, and they begin to go towards the town, to proclaim the events, the death of the Jarl, the victory of Logi Mother in the home gang to the people. Canute, this other man that was with them, the fifth man, is going to go with them as well. But Yarna, if there's anything you'd like to do before we see Bori's choice, you may act.
Yorna was worried about these supposed enemies, and then suddenly Bori is the enemy. And she doesn't know what to do. And I think that she hears the boy coming back and the wolf coming. And I think that I would try and stop this kid from joining this fight, because it's not safe to be here. He has to go. He has to leave, no matter what.
All right, so it looks like Yarna is going to try to stop Horst from engaging, if that was his plan. I'll let you, Har, decide exactly how that would play out.
You can make Bori's choice.
Yeah, so I'll just say, Yarna, you'd be able to, at the very least, hold Horst back.
Oh, sorry to interpose against Horst. I've actually got his stats here, and it's so pitiful. I
Oh.
think Yana would easily be able to grab him.
Yeah, he was trying to get in his way just to make sure he doesn't do something reckless on his own. All right, I'm gonna let the gods decide and make a roll. He stops for a moment at the challenge of Har to kill him willingly. You can see him kind of stop, unexpected. He wasn't expecting for a willing offer to be given. And he kind of stops for a moment. The knife, you can feel the point kind of shaking in fear and anger and so many emotions, kind of tipping and scratching at your side as you offer yourself. And then this is a sickening sound as the dagger plunges in under your armpit and into your side.
I think Har begins to slump immediately when he pulls it out. There's a wet sucking sound, and so much hot, fat blood spills out. Horst would try to struggle free from Yana for a 20 athletics. And Har will like fumble at his belt loop, reaching for the head of his hammer.
Torhild would lower him and put his hand on the hammer itself, guiding it there, knowing that this was his wish to let Bori choose. And okay, dang.
Off to the side, you hear, distant at first and then growing closer, it's like, and you would see a wolf the size of a massive grizzly bear storm out of the woods, sliding across the ice to like skid next to the witch and Logi Mother. She wordlessly looks up to it, and brings Logi Mother up onto its back, taking a bit to tie him down, and to climb on top of this wolf as well, to hold him on its back. Unless anybody is going to do anything, the wolf is going to flee with them on it. Otherwise, there'd be another low, strange, eerie howl as the wolf begins to trot back towards the woods, carrying the witch and Logi Mother with it. Bori looks stunned at himself, shocked that he just did what he did. Like you could tell before he did it that he was unsure, and something came over him that caused it. He would drop the dagger, his hand kind of quaking, in surprise by his own actions, that his own rage and anger would let him do such a thing. It would fall, and he would kind of fall to his knees, just like looking at Har's body, not sure what to do. For the moment, he's not going to do anything. He's unable to act.
So Har isn't dead immediately, is he?
I imagine not. The wound was like in his side, so he'll bleed out almost assuredly, but it's going to take a little bit of time. It wouldn't be an instant death.
So I think I'd look at Har, remembering what he said about his son coming for him. And I'd look him in the eyes. Shall I teach him?
It is for him to choose, he says. The sword or the hammer.
And I would just nod. Yeah, his is the hammer. That's what I thought. And I would look at him and nod. He may choose whatever weapon he wishes. But what would you have for him? until the moment he is ready.
Har's mouth is open and his eyes are lifeless.
And Torhild would just nod. And did Horst, did he break free from
He did try. I got an 18 on the dice, which gives him a 20 athletics check.
Damn, that's enough to break it.
Okay.
Then he'd
So I'm
rush
guessing-
towards Borry, his own hammer in hand, screaming like a child's grief-filled scream.
And Torhild would catch him, knowing that he has no chance in fighting this man right now. And she would just grab him and look him in the eyes. Do not throw your life away, boy. It is not your place to die now.
He's too hot to hear your wisdom, though. He quails beneath your strength and like warrior ability to like bodily withhold him from suicide.
And she would look at Bori. Remember this day, the promise that has been made. You have dishonored yourself and condemned yourself to hell. You have killed a man after an oath has been broken who has done nothing wrong. And someday, and she looked down at Horst, this boy will come for you. And I shall see that he is made into a champion greater than you ever were.
Yeah, Bori is still just on his knees, in shock at what he's done on his own. He doesn't act. He doesn't do anything. He just waits there. His eyes are just down at Har's body, in shock that there was anything left inside of him that would cause him to kill this man. After everything that was said, that should tell him to do that should do anything else. And he would just stay there for quite some time.
Yeah, and I think that what did he do with that silver torque that Torhild gave him? Was it just in the cart, probably?
Yeah, I think he would have hidden it amongst his possessions for a rainy day.
Okay. Yeah, and Torhild would just pick up the dagger, tell Horst to put away the hammer, and I think she would. Let me see. Would she give it to him or like give it to Bori as a reminder?
I think Horst wouldn't like let anyone near the cart to steal it and would try to like protect it all with his meager life.
You think what? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
That Horst wouldn't let anything be taken from the cart or his father if he could help it.
So would he want the dagger then? The one that was used to kill him?
No, I think that would like Borry would have pulled that free.
Yeah, well, he said he dropped it. So I'd pick it up and I'd drop it on the ground before Bori. And I'd say, you hold on to that. And remember what you've done. Never clean it. And his Jarl's Boar Spear. And I'd kind of like, I think, is Horse pretty numb at this point? Like he's just like unfeeling?
Yeah, slavering and wild.
She would look at him with like this like determination in her eyes. Now is not the time, Horst. And just try and get him to go back to the cart while she gathered his father's body to give it rites.
You're able to put the body of Har onto the cart next to the body of Niall, which had been put there by Har not but moments earlier, to ensure that proper rights are given to both of them.
Yeah.
Yarna, what would you do after all of this? Do you stay with the town? Would you go with the others? Would you go on your own?
Yarna doesn't think that this place is safe anymore, and too much has happened. And somehow she looks at this boy and she thinks of the son that she once had, and she wants to help. So she would come and talk to him and Thorhild and offer her help for the time that he will be training. So he could be not only a smith, but also, I mean, a hunter. Because his father was a great man and he died with honor. That if he accepts, of course.
And with that, Thorhild, Yarna, and Horst, I imagine, would leave. Go off, find somewhere where Niall and Har can be given proper burial and rites, and then onwards to training and perhaps eventually vengeance. It's a couple days later now, in a strange town that we haven't seen yet. So you see Loki Mother's body, his leg ruined, his jaw smashed. The witch is next to a large blue Jotunet and the massive wolf that had carried them off. He looks to her. Will you be able to heal him? I will try. We'll see. And that is where we will end Odinson.
That was great.
Well played, my lord.
Nice, very nice.
So sorry that you guys didn't get to fight except for Niall, but Niall kind of had to be a hero and do the one-man show there.
I died horribly.
Yeah.
That was a good fight. 2 crits. I almost thought that you were gonna win.
Oh, I know. Advantage is a scary thing. This setting. No, I didn't think I was close though. To be honest, I figure he had like another 200 hit points to get through before I got near him.
So he started at 150. He ended at 89.
Yeah. Yeah, like I had 88.
Yeah, because he had resistance to bludgeoning while he was in a frenzy. So like the shield strikes were doing like 3 and 4 apiece.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the spear that you started doing full damage, but by then you were almost dead. He's just one nasty man.
I just wanted to play this like stupidly principled berserker to see how that works. I think it's like maybe not a great fit for a campaign because you'll just have this person who's like consistently getting into major hassle because of their beliefs or whatever. But I don't know. I liked playing it for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see how the class played out, both in the sense of the character, like that like hyper principled holy man, I think is interesting and was like an interesting change. For like the sorts of people that you usually see in Iskloft. It's like we'll be honorable until it's practical not to be, in which case we'll jump the shark and switch. So to see a person who was just like, I'm just going all the way to the end, straight away, was interesting. God, I gotta say, I mean, granted, Logi Mother was a level 10 berserker, so he's like as strong as it gets. But god damn it, that guy was insane. Like really, really nasty.
I didn't think he was that tough.
Toriel could have taken him.
Yeah, when it was like 4 hits, like 4 attacks on his turn, I just leaned back and I was like, "Goodbye, my friend."
Yeah, I put it in the chat, but that the rabbit's foot thing and then the blood was her casting haste.
Rad.
So Frenzy already gives 3 attacks, and then haste gives another action which you can use to make another attack. So it was literally 4 attacks per round at plus 11 to hit and like plus 11 damage because he adds his proficiency and gets stacking damage bonuses when he hits from the
Jesus.
berserker feat. So
And when
it's
the
just
witch
literally
ate the necroseed finger, I like tasted that black magic in the mouth of my mind.
Yeah, it was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
yeah,
Magic
that
descriptions
was,
are top notch. They really feel like Isklofty with like all this weird fucking stuff hanging from the staff and like all this eating. It was great.
Cutting the
Yeah,
rabbit's foot off and just munching on that necrotic tissue.
Yum. Alrighty, well, I am going to go ahead and cut broadcast here at least. So if anybody watched, thank you, and we'll see you guys in the next one.